Look, that's the question we're obviously all asking. The only person saying that is right now Donald Trump. And even Donald Trump's lawyers are saying that his tweets about this, or I should say his posts on Truth Social, his social media company, are based on press reports and speculation. We do know that the Manhattan District Attorney's Office has released a memo to their own staff response to calls from Donald Trump from his base and supporters to protest, essentially saying that they will not stand for any sort of intimidation, that they will be kept safe. So make of that what you will. But right now, Donald Trump is the one who is really ginning up all of this speculation and, anxiousness and excitement and emotions about this right now.
Yeah. He's facing legal problems on so many fronts. Why is this particular case out of New York causing him so much trouble?
Right. So this case could stem as far back to 2006 when he had allegedly had an affair with adult film actress Stormy Daniels. Now, 10 years after that affair and during the campaign in 2016, Trump allegedly paid Stormy Daniels $130,000 in hush money. That would violate New York election laws. So that's where this is all stemming from. And we have seen since Trump's announcement on Truth Social on Saturday here in the United States that Stormy Daniels herself has been very much tweeting about this, saying that she, is, essentially suggesting she's excited that Trump could go to jail. So this is very much turning into a bit of a soap opera here online in the U.S.
Yeah. The Republicans, as always, sort of come out and try and politicize some of the legal actions that he's facing. Is it political, or has New York as a jurisdiction brought these kind of charges against other people?
Look, I think you're going to see Republicans call this political just because they're trying to rally around someone who could very well be the presidential nominee in 2024. Donald Trump is handily leading all of the 2024 polling as we speak. So you see Speaker Kevin McCarthy, for example, rallying around him. You also see former Vice President Mike Pence, who has been very critical of Donald Trump, especially when it came to January 6th and the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol building. He is even coming to the defense of Donald Trump. So I think Republicans are very aware of the fact that their own base, this is something that would very much, make them very emotional, rally them up. And they're very much trying to, I think, relate to that base. And Donald Trump, by the way, knows exactly what he's doing with this. This is his way to galvanize his own base as he's seeking re-election.
Yeah. So do you think he is trying to use this to his political advantage? And are we likely to, if he were to have to surrender to a court, to see hundreds and thousands of people on the streets?
Yeah, to answer your first question, look, absolutely. I think Donald Trump knows that this could work to his political advantage. The Republican base, especially that very pro-Trump MAGA base that we were speculating last fall, whether that could maybe shift to Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who is very much considering a presidential run, is expected to announce. We were wondering if that could shift to him. However, that base seems very firmly entrenched with Donald Trump. Donald Trump knows that this will make an arrest, would make them angry and elicit a lot of emotions. To your second question as to whether we could see hundreds of thousands of protesters, it's possible. Look, I think we'll have to see what an arrest looks like if it were to take place. But this isn't the first time, obviously, that Donald Trump has called on social media for his followers and for his base to come rally to his defense. We know what happened at January 6th. So I think there's a real concern that that could happen in New York, tomorrow, potentially.
Which could be a very different response because, they have warned that their jurisdiction will not be threatened in this fashion. So there could be a lot of NYPD people on the streets.
Absolutely. And, look, on January 6th and the lead up to that, we also saw, the Capitol and Washington, D.C. police, Capitol U.S. police preparing. However, I don't think they even expected the sheer numbers of people to approach the Capitol, or even obviously expected them to reach the U.S. Capitol building itself. So I think law enforcement is very sensitive to this, especially at a time in U.S. politics where polarization is so deep, it's so emotional, it's a very divisive issue. So We just don't know how volatile this an issue like this could impact people, and especially the images of a president a former president who has such a following, a former president who's running for president again. If there are images of an arrest, if an arrest were to happen, I imagine that would, garner illicit emotions from both sides of the aisle.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Julia, because it doesn't seem, as you pointed out, Ron DeSantis has not yet called his campaign, but he doesn't seem to be trying to take advantage of his potential opponent's legal difficulties.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And even a couple of other potential Republican candidates or announced Republican candidates haven't either. Nikki Haley, the other Republican who is officially in the race, I don't think I've seen anything from her yet. We see, former Vice President Mike Pence, who is considering a run. He's pushing back on this, saying it's politicized. There's a lesser-known candidate, Vivek Ramaswamy. He's, also releasing press releases on this, calling on candidates like Ron DeSantis to condemn this. But Ron DeSantis has been very noticeably quiet on this. We'll be watching for any reaction from him. But that's very interesting because his base of voters very much overlaps with Donald Trump's base of voters. They're fighting for those same sort of conservative Republican voters. So it'll be interesting to see what those voters ultimately want Ron DeSantis to do in a situation like this.
Always appreciate your time. Thanks, Julia.
Thank you.